Hello, my darlings, and welcome back to Radio Wasteland. It is I, Chauncey Haworth, and my sidekick.
You sound so disappointed.
And my sidekick.
I thought it'd be someone else today.
Sean. Yeah, I woke up this morning, I thought I'd be somebody else. And I looked in the mirror and I thought, oh, you're built for radio. Yeah, no, I just got off work, and so, you know.
Well, yeah, say no more on that front.
Off work and into work and off work and into work, you know. It's the American way, though. I'm a good American. Yeah.
Well, we talk about horror stories on this show, but modern life.
Right.
There's the...
Nothing's more horrific than my suburban nightmare.
Exactly.
Except, possibly, the concept of our show this evening.
Good segue.
Yeah, wasn't it? So tonight our guest is from the Destination America show, Killing Bigfoot, Jim Lansdale. And, you know, all the topics that we have on this show are, I don't know if controversial is right, but believing in them is somewhat controversial. But this one is a controversy in a controversy, which is interesting because, you know, there are a lot of Bigfoot researchers out there.
There are.
And they are very devoted. And a lot of them have fallen in love with Bigfoot, thinking he's a he/he. I don't want to genderfy Bigfoot. But that they are these gentle, loving creatures that, you know, time forgot. And then we have Jim Lansdale and his crew.
Who are all about the title of their show.
Right. Their group is called the Gcbro, and they are out to bring in a body.
Right.
Yeah. And so,
so I can see the controversy there.
I can, you know, I can see, you know, that it upsets a lot of people, especially in a time when, you know, I mean, Cecil the Lion, you know, those sorts of things are in the news, you know.
I think it's a little different, though, and, you know, coming into it, I feel as though I would come down on the side of Killing Bigfoot.
Really?
For this reason, you know.
Seem so passive, Joe.
It's not like a lion or anything. It's, you know, this animal that has been disbelieved by the broad scientific community.
Right.
For, you know, some 50, 60 years, however long it's been. Mm-hmm. It would be practically unprecedented in a scientific sense if suddenly a body were to turn up.
Oh,
so,
absolutely.
So I think, you know, the loss of one magnificent primate, you know, it's probably worth it in the grand scheme of history and science and all of that kind of good stuff.
Yeah, most people that I talk to in preparation for this show, just to give a little background, this show comes from Redding, California, and people think of California as being, you know, very liberal, very Hollywoodified, that we all surf and all that.
Yes.
Redding is not that. Redding is definitely the conservative hub of California, and there's a lot of hunting going on here, a lot of agriculture and stuff like that. So you're going to find a little bit more of an open attitude towards this around here. But almost everybody I spoke to said, no, man, leave Bigfoot alone. Why you got to kill Bigfoot? And then I would explain that
they're not hunting him for meat or fur.
Right, that they're trying to bring in a body because that's basically the way science has worked throughout since the dawn of science. And even then they're all, well, just let it go. But you could tell that they kind of backed off a little bit there once you brought up the way that, you know, science works.
I think, you know, finding footprints or a body that died of natural causes or hair samples or any number of other things would also be perfectly acceptable. But if someone brought in a body, I would say, I would not say, you monster. I would say, well done.
Right. Yeah, and Andrea, our social media guru? I don't know. What do you call somebody who takes care of your social media? She had a good point.
Basically the savior of the show.
Right. She had a good point when she was talking to Jim about it, basically saying that if she was camping and Bigfoot jumped out of the bushes, they'd probably freak out and shoot it.
Right.
You know, be absolutely terrified. So I don't know if you have an opinion on Killing Bigfoot. Let's keep it respectful, but give us a call at 530-605-4567. And, this should be an interesting one.
Yeah, well, I can't wait to hear what he has to say.
And I got to point out that Joe is not here. Joe has moved away, so he'll be back and forth. But Joe's favorite topic is cryptids.
Well,
and
he'll be here in spirit.
Yeah, Joe.
Though that would be more appropriate for a ghost show.
Right, right. Well, let's hope he's not here in spirit. You're listening to Radio Wasteland. We'll be back with our guest, Jim Lansdale from Killing Bigfoot.
So soon you'll take me up in your arms today.
All right, welcome back to Radio Wasteland, and we are here with our guest tonight, Jim Lansdale from the Destination America show Killing Bigfoot. Hi, Jim. Are you there with us?
Yeah, I'm here. How are you?
Oh, not bad. How are you doing?
I'm doing pretty good. Finally had another rainstorm come through, and that seems like the norm for down here now.
You know,
where I go, I get rained on.
Yeah, it seems like the norm here too, which it is definitely not the norm. But our weather is oddly wet for this time of year. Reading, the town where we're from, Reading, it'll get into the 110s in the summer.
Goodness.
It's
it was 96 here with the heat index, and then we had a thunderstorm. But I was in Oregon last week for a few days, and it was cold and rainy the whole time I was there. So I guess the rain follows me around.
Right. Well, before you got involved with the show and everything like that, were you a Bigfoot researcher to begin with? How did you get started with your interest in Bigfoot?
Well, I really wasn't a Bigfooter by any means. I mean, I was skeptic full blown. Just one night years ago, about 25, 26 years ago, my oldest son and I drove down to our deer camp, and I put him a little feeder, a perforated feeder where you have to shake it for the corn to fall out on a tripod. And we drove in and we turned into pointed the headlights at the feeder, and there was something squatted there, sideways to us, had its hands or feet or paws on the feeder, and it was shaking it. And it was there for a few seconds, I mean, probably 35, maybe 40 yards. I can't recall exactly, but not far. And then it dawned on it, oh, crap, there was headlights. And so it turned and it looked at us, huge red eyes about the size of a Coke can. It stayed there just for a few seconds. We got a pretty good look, I guess. I just didn't know what it was, and then it bolted on all fours and went to a hawthorn thicket. I noticed the legs. It was real heavy through the thigh and the buttocks area, kind of narrow, slimmer in the calf area, but I thought it should be, But my son asked me, he said, Dad, what is that? And, I didn't know. It never dawned on me that was a Bigfoot. I mean, I never even thought of a Bigfoot. I don't know what I thought about, but he asked me what it was, and I told him, I said, son, I have no idea what that is.
All right.
And then the next year, we're getting the place ready to hunt, and going down this iron bridge down here off of Red Clay Hill. I'm cutting some limbs, and he's hustling them off the road, and we get up to this area where my dad-in-law had poured out a pile of maize for some quail. And inside, something with 3 toes, about 9.5 inches, stepped in that maize. And it looked like a human track, other than it just had 3 toes, and the big toe was a little bit larger than what we would consider a human toe. And I know we walked around that track for an hour before we, finally saw the other track that was in the maze. And the other track was 19.5 inches. So we had 2 tracks in this maze. One was 9 inches, 9.5. The other one was 19.5. And that's how I got started. Right there. I knew something was there.
I see. So I assume you started your group at that point prior to the show getting started.
Oh, yeah, our group, Bobby and I have been together since, I think, 97, something like that. I worked about 5 years, 6 years by myself, trying to figure out what was going on. And I contacted Bobby, and then Bobby and I have been together ever since.
Now, I know there's
Gcbro.
Right. Now, I know there's a lot of pushback in the Bigfoot community towards your approach of bring in the body. But
Right.
But do you find that there is also a large demographic in the Bigfoot community that supports that?
Well, sure. Oh, sure.
Well, I
You know,
don't.
here's-
I don't mean like people that support it, but I mean like Bigfoot researchers who support it.
Right. I understand.
Yeah.
Well, my deal is, Chauncey, is that those people have never had anything happen to them. Is what's happened to me. As far as my dogs, I was a big dog owner, still am, and raised dogs and ran them and different critters, and they kill my dogs. I've had them come up and kill 8 pups, skin them, and eat them right there at the pen. So I lost 13 dogs in a period of probably 3 months one time. My sons couldn't even hunt down there because of the clicking and the beating on the trees and the screaming at them and howling at them. And but so I wanted to know what it was. I really did. The curiosity factor just killed me. I'd put myself in some situations which most people probably wouldn't because I wanted to know exactly what this thing was. And that's basically how I got started, was because of what I saw, the tracks, and then, you know, staying and then having some sightings and listening to the different sounds and things that I'm an old woodsman. You know, I grew up on the river bottoms over in East Texas on the Sabine River. I never saw anything over there or heard anything that I'd consider a Bigfoot, but then again, I didn't know what I was listening for.
So what does one listen for then?
Well, there's just different sounds. I had a guy that claimed that he had a Bigfoot take a stick or his finger and break the lens in his game camera. So, and I knew there was activity there because I'd seen some probably about a mile just east of that place or west of it, and so we drove down there, and I have the at that time he was the police chief of a major city here in Louisiana, and he was with me, and so we parked, and he showed us where the camera was put, and I walked down this sandy beach, and it was just, a lot of sand in this bottom, big hardwood that flooded, during the rainy season. And I heard him kind of something like it cleared its throat a couple of times. And I got back to the car, and I asked Mark, I said, Mark, did you hear anything? And he said, oh, yeah. He said, I heard. And he described what he heard, and I asked that man that was with us, I said, did you hear anything? Oh, no, I didn't hear anything at all. So my point is, we knew what we were listening for, and he didn't.
Right.
So he didn't pay any attention to what we did. And then Mark saw him. So we just, after years and years, you get accustomed to listening, and you know what you're listening for, and makes a big difference. A lot of people probably miss things that they shouldn't miss, and probably a lot of times they make stuff up that they hear that's not a Bigfoot.
Right. So you're in Louisiana, right?
That's right.
So one of the Bigfoot sort of legends is the skunk ape. Is that something that you associate, and that seems to be from the South mainly? Is that something that you associate with Bigfoot, and do you make a connection there, or have you heard these things?
We never thought about it being a skunk ape. We just thought, I remember the first track that I sent off to a guy in the Pacific Northwest, and I can't even remember who the guy was. And so he wrote me back, and he said, in an email, and he said, well, you don't have Bigfoot in the South. And I'm thinking to myself, hell, I got a 19 and a half inch track. It looks like a Bigfoot to me.
It is a Bigfoot. That is for sure.
25 years ago, the ignorance prevailed in the Pacific Northwest. We're the only people that have a Bigfoot, and you guys have something else.
Right.
So I don't know what it is. I have 3-toed tracks, 5-toed tracks. I found 4-toed tracks. I had a guy in the Panhandle of Texas that had 6-toed tracks. So, what causes that? And we think inbreeding.
Right. Actually, that's kind of what came to my mind first, too. It's not exactly like they have a
large population.
A large population, or somebody telling them that they shouldn't.
That's right. Well, now that you mentioned that population-wise, these experts that claim there's only several thousand for breeding purposes, they have no clue what they're talking about. There's several thousand just in this area that I'm at. I mean, I can take you almost any day and show you tracks, almost any day on these rivers. And I may have to look a while, and I mean, we may have to walk a while, but I can certainly show them. I mean, they're there of all sizes. And something that we've been finding a lot of is a lot of the smaller tracks. We used to never find, the juvenile track. Mm-hmm. Now we're finding 6 and 7 inch, 8 inch tracks that we used to never find.
So, from watching your show and reading up on you guys, it seems like a lot of locals in your area, this is a common belief among a lot of the locals, and that they see them as well.
Mm-hmm. Well, I think the habituators claim that they feed them, and they might. I don't know if they intentionally feed them. Maybe they're putting food out, and something gets the food, and they think it's a Bigfoot, and that happens. But, over in East Texas, there was a group that was doing that, and they had Bigfoot activity. And, it pretty much got out of hand. There was some video of them, and I think M.K. Davis has quite a bit of video on them, and of course that's some type of communication. People might say it's a language. I think it's just a matter of communication back and forth, mimicry. But when the man died, his wife didn't want anything to do with him, so she quit feeding him. But they used to feed him on a regular basis.
It seems a little dangerous.
But there's one in video that looks like it's got to be, 14 to 16 feet tall. It's real slender. And then again, I've got one from south of me. Looks like a female holding a young one that's about 12 foot tall. So real slender. And I've never seen one that big. I mean, most of them that I've seen, maybe 7.5 foot tall. Are kind of maybe a couple of them are kind of robust. But what I mean by kind of like Patty, the robustness of her.
Right.
But most of them are body shape, bodybuilders.
Right. Okay, well, Jim, we're coming up on the commercial break. It'll be just a few minutes. I hope you'll stick around, and I got more questions for you after the break. You're listening to Radio Wasteland with our guest, Jim Lansdale. I am the fox. All right, welcome back to Radio Wasteland with our guest, Jim Lansdale from the Destination America show, Killing Bigfoot. So I guess the big question here, that you probably get hit with a lot, Jim, is why kill it?
Well, there's several reasons. And first off, let me explain this. We're not just out to kill a Bigfoot. We could have already killed a female and a young, a juvenile. Mm-hmm. But there's certain male animals that come around people's homes and kill their dogs or raid their chicken pen, kill their cats, their geese. You name it, they kill it. They harass these people to no end. When you're afraid to walk your mailbox during the day because of a Bigfoot, then something needs to be done. And so what we do, that's the ones we hunt, are the nuisance Bigfoot. And they need to be eradicated. And here's the thing. If they're brave enough to do what they do now, it's just a matter of time before they're brave enough before they can actually cause physical harm or kill someone. And that's what we're afraid of. I've actually seen them run from people's houses. I've had them follow me down there. I took pictures of them following me. They're brazen. And not all of them are like that. There's just a few that are like that. But, we've traveled all over this country, and so we know that Louisiana and East Texas are not the only places that are like that.
Yeah, I've of course, being interested in the topics that I'm interested in, I've watched a lot of shows about this sort of thing, and most of them have somewhat benign Bigfoot sightings, it seems to me. But I do remember one where the people were like trapped in their house, and they had to put screws through a board and flip it over in front of the doorway, and the Bigfoot ended up stepping on it, and they actually got the blood and hair from that sucker trying to get into him, and had that analyzed, and, as it is common, the analyzing doesn't always turn out. So a lot of the reason why you feel that hunting it is your plan is because in your area they are a nuisance.
Well, yeah, the ones that we hunt are aggressive animals. We're not just going out hunting Bigfoot. Like I said, I know where some are, or I think I know where a male is now, and he hasn't caused anybody any problems, so he's not any concern of ours.
I see.
But ones that we hunt are the ones that are the nuisance animals that, when you start taking pictures of a Bigfoot's tracks at your windows, your bedroom windows, and you're throwing rocks and beating on the side of your house, and scaring the kids, and the grandkids can't go out. I mean, even one of the boys, the older boys, was actually chased by a Bigfoot, and or claimed he was, and scared him to death. And something needs to be done. And people say, well, if the Bigfoot wanted him, he could have caught him, and I do agree with that. But why would the Bigfoot chase him to begin with?
Right.
And that's my point. Why?
Right.
He has no right to do that. I mean, we're talking. Let's equate this down to Africa. We got a lion chasing some kid,
Right.
Whether he catches him or not is immaterial. He was catching him, and if he caught him, he could kill him. Same thing with a Bigfoot. He could kill him if he wanted to. If he caught him, he could kill him.
Right. How intelligent do you think these animals are, when it comes to tracking them? And so they're so hard to find.
Right.
Is it because they're just incredibly reclusive, or is it because they are smart enough to not be found?
Well, it's a combination of things, and by some of the teepees and things that I've seen that's built over a period of time and years, and I would say they're built probably about 10 to a 12-year-old kid building them, these little old teepees is what it looks like to me, and the little wagon-looking wheels. But they just know to stay hidden from us. I mean, that's just like a deer. They know to stay hidden from us as well. Right. Look at bear and cougar. They do the same thing. I mean, you can walk right by any of these animals that I just mentioned, and they'll never move, and you'll never see them. We know that there's just thousands of bears. But how many bear sightings do we actually have? And it's very few,
Yeah, I don't think I've ever seen one outside of the zoo or TV.
And I don't know how people Bigfoot hunt there, especially in the area that I was in. A lot of open timber, a beautiful country, but my God, how could you do research there? Right.
So you get a lot of pushback from Bigfoot researchers. What kind of pushback are you getting? Are you getting people showing up to your shows, or are you getting just trolled online, or what does this pushback look like?
Well, the only pushback really, and you're talking about on the show itself, and really we don't have that much. I mean, I'm sure that there's some people that dislike what we do or attempt to do, but I don't have anybody get on me, about anything.
I see.
That is basically my opinion, what needs to be done, and if there's no kill, then that's theirs, and you go your way and I'll go mine. That doesn't mean that I'm out just trying to, kill every Bigfoot I see, because I'm not going to. Our group is not going to. We could have already done that if we'd wanted to. But ours is about the aggressive Bigfoot, and to help these people that have aggressive animals around their homes.
So how many reports of these aggressive animals do you get in a given amount of time? Let's say a year in your area.
Well, in my area alone, I get, I don't know, I would say, depending on the year, sometimes 3, sometimes 6, And then here's the deal. It's time consuming to actually go and actually investigate reports, because you have to spend many hours there. And because I don't know what's going on, all I do is just get this person's word. And what he considers aggressive may not be aggressive. Then again, it may be overly aggressive. So what I have to do is spend a considerable amount of time in these areas before I'll even say we need to hunt this animal. The rest of our group is like that. You just have to spend a lot of time. But we get them, we do get, periodically, we do get reports of aggressive animals, and we do travel.
I see. So are there any reports of a Bigfoot actually attacking a person, like physically harming or running off with a baby, or, I don't know.
None that I know of. Now, I have a man, an older black man and lady, and they may even be dead by now, but years ago, I was told, and talked to me, this is third party, that a Bigfoot came and stole one of their little girls. Now, whether they did or not, I don't know, because I went to the man's house and knocked on his door,
and they would have nothing to say to me about it at all.
I see.
But yeah, I guess it's possible that it happens. I think you get these reports from people disappearing. I mean, I hear them all the time. Reports about people, being killed, and now how accurate they are, I don't know. Your police officer, your in your sheriff's department, they're not going to tell you a Bigfoot killed something. They may say a bear or a cougar, but they're not going to see a Bigfoot.
So, here's a big question that the skeptics ask. And seeing how you are saying that there's so much activity in your area. So the big skeptic question would be, why haven't we found any sort of body that died of natural causes, or why don't we really have any credible evidence of the Bigfoot? Or do we have credible evidence that maybe the media has squashed?
Well, there's credible evidence as far as DNA is concerned. The thing about it is there's just no primers developed that will tell us exactly what it is. They say it's this and they say it's that, and they're not real certain what it is or what it's related to one way or the other. I mean, if we hadn't had primers for chimpanzees in their DNA, well, we'd say, well, this thing is just almost a human, other than the hair and the non-opposable thumb. And that's the way these are here. I mean, we've provided blood and hair and of course tracks of you name it, we've done it. And,
so when you say a primer, you mean having like the body in order to say this is what the DNA comes from?
Well, yeah,
to compare it to
something to go by, something definite that the scientists could say we know where this came from,
right?
And we have extracted this from this particular animal. And I can tell you right now, all the skeptics, they're interested in it. They know most of them. I would say 90% of the people in the United States, or even the Bigfoot community, they know that there has to be one on a slab for identification. And there's always the fear that they could die out and we'd never know what they were.
Right.
Is that what they want? Or do they want us to try to protect, what they did with the spotted owl in California? What would they do for a Bigfoot here in the South?
I see. So how did you get approached for the show?
Peter contacted us, as a matter of fact. And we did a little deal for him and sent it back to him. And then we didn't hear from him for a couple of years. And he told us the reason being is that none of the networks were interested in Bigfoot at the time. It had nothing to do with kill or no kill. It was just that they weren't interested in Bigfoot at the time. And just out of the blue, he contacted us again, and we've been together now 5 years, I guess, something like that, 4 or 5.
All right. Well, Jim, we're coming up on our very last commercial break. I hope you'll stick with us. You're listening to Radio Wasteland with guest Jim Lansdale from the Destination America show, Killing Bigfoot. We'll be right back. All right, welcome back to Radio Wasteland and our guest Jim Lansdale from the Destination America show, Killing Bigfoot. Jim, I wanted to ask you, with all your involvement in sightings of Bigfoot, what about famous sightings of Bigfoot? Like the Patterson-Gimlin film. Have you seen this, and do you think that is accurate and what you're seeing as well?
Yeah, I've looked at that film many times, and that is a real there's in my mind.
I'm sorry, you're cutting out a bit there, Jim.
That's a real Sasquatch, a real Bigfoot. There is no doubt.
So that is an accurate, when you're telling us of what you're seeing in your area, that is an accurate.
Right. Well, the bigger ones like that, the robust ones, we don't see them. They're not quite that big. Mm-hmm. But I have seen some that are similar to that as far as being that big barrel-chested type. And, yeah, that fits the bill. That's what I would consider a Bigfoot.
I see. So how close have you come to getting one of these?
To actually harvest?
Yeah.
Or just one come close to me?
No. To actually killing one to bring in.
2003, we shot one over a deer carcass. I'd been feeding them for a long time. I had 3 males that were down there. 2 of them were on the north side. One of them was on the west side. And the one from the west came and actually was belly crawling up, reached down, grabbed the snout of the deer, and the guy shot him in the back. And we found blood and so forth and mucus on a lab in Oklahoma.
said it was the same grouping as the gorilla, chimpanzee, bonobo, and orangutan.
Really?
And we never did find the corpse.
Really?
Of the body.
You know, it's really that, you know, I personally, I want to believe a lot of this stuff, but, you know, having little experience myself, I am skeptical. I think that word carries a negative connotation, but I'm open to it, but skeptical, going like, hey, you know, I want to see some proof, you know, and I do find that some of this DNA evidence, when they bring it in, and the hair evidence, you know, sometimes when they're doing it, you know, it's definitely an eyebrow raise for me.
Right. Well, you know, the thing about it is we don't even do that anymore. We know there's nothing there for it to identify. So it's wasting my time and money and our time and money to have something sent off. It's just not. I mean, you got to have a corpse. If you don't have a corpse, there'll never be identification. And regardless of what people say or think, there has got to be a body on a slab. And then once that body is there and science does whatever they have to do, then we know for a fact what this creature is.
Right.
For a fact.
Yeah, so up here in the Pacific Northwest, I don't know, Sean, do we count as the Pacific Northwest?
No, I don't think
All
so.
right, up here just south of the Pacific Northwest, where Bigfoot is, you know, a popular topic. You know, a lot of people tend to have sort of fuzzy feelings about the Bigfoot up here.
Though we definitely do have sightings in this area.
But yeah, we definitely do.
Course.
Well, that Patterson-Gimlin tape is from
right
up here. And, you know, people tend to have fuzzy feelings about it. And so, I don't know, like, what would you tell these people when they basically, you know, they're of the opinion that this thing is as smart as a person? And so here you are wanting to go out and potentially shoot this thing that's as smart as a person. And so, you know, how do you rectify that in a conversation?
Okay, well, it gets back down to what I was telling you, that we're not just trying to kill a Bigfoot, we're after these nuisance Bigfoot, okay? It's like this is the criminal element of Bigfootery. All right?
I like that. I like the way you put it. I do
and
like that.
that's what we're hunting. We're not just out to shoot a Bigfoot. I mean, we could have done that. I mean, I could have. But that's not what I want to do, you know? And this warm, fuzzy feeling, if they don't want identification, that is solely their business. I don't care.
Mm-hmm.
I want some type of identification. I want to know what it is. It's beyond curiosity. I want to know what it is. And not only me, but literally millions of people want to know what it is.
Well, that is absolutely true, because your show has definitely piqued a lot of people's interest. So what is the future for your show? Are you guys going to keep going?
The producer, I haven't heard from him in a while, so, you know, Peter's always working on something. Last I heard, he was working, so I don't know.
Right.
I can't tell you anything.
And what about the GCBRO? Is that...
Oh, we're going strong.
You're going strong?
Growing every day. Yeah. I mean, we have many members, getting bigger all the time. There's people that agree with what we do, and let me explain something to you. There's some people that are in our group that are no-kill, and that's fine. I mean, that's your preference, that's your belief, and we don't try to beat somebody over their head and try to convince them of anything. You know, it's whatever they believe is it's fine with me, as long as it's not some type of hocus pocus, something that can disappear on me and comes from another dimension and vibrates at a certain speed that we can't, that's fine. I don't.
Right.
I know a lot of people believe that. And that's, and I can tell you the ones that believe that are the researchers that get into this, have had some type of experience with sightings, and then all of a sudden they become a researcher, and it gets finding evidence is very difficult to find. And so it's easy to say, well, it just disappears or it goes to another dimension, So.
Right. Yeah, I've always found that theory to be interesting, but also incredibly convenient.
Well, I find it kind of interesting as well, but I think it's, it's just the people that are not really researchers. I mean, what I'd consider as a a person that sits on the computer, and not really out in the woods. And here's the key: if you want to have a sighting, you have to go where they are. I mean, it's just like fishing. Because you see water on the side of the road doesn't mean that there's a fish in that water.
Right.
Same thing with woods. Because you see woods doesn't mean there's a Bigfoot there. There's groups of these animals in certain areas. And if you find those areas, your chance of having a sighting grows tremendously. I won't go to a place that's not that doesn't have a lot of sighting reports. I will not go. I'm not spending my time there in a dead hole. I mean, I've heard them before. Mm-hmm. I mean, I've been roared at, growled at, screamed at, had stuff thrown at me. You name it, I probably had it, and I'm not interested in that. I want to have the sighting. I want to see if that's the animal that we need to harvest, the one that's being aggressive and killing people with dogs, cats, and livestock.
Right. Okay, well, Jim, we're coming up on the end of the show here. Can you tell our listeners how they can find out more about you?
Well, you can go to our website. It's gcbro.com. There's quite a bit of reading there. It's considered, I know Bobby runs the website. I don't have anything to do with that. Or you can look us up on Facebook under Killing Bigfoot or the GCBRO. We have different websites. I have a Facebook page, and it's just Jim Lansdale. No big deal. I've got a few pictures there. I need to update that as well. Periodically, Louisiana Bigfoot is one of them that I run, and I put some pictures up there every now and then of interesting things, pictures of a Bigfoot that I have, or tracks, or so forth and so on. So don't be afraid if you see me and you want to look at some of the stuff. I'll certainly, print you out and let you look.
All right. Well, thank you very much for being a guest on our show. I've really enjoyed talking to you and learning more about the dangers of the Bigfoot and, learning more about this other side of Bigfoot research. I really appreciate you coming on the show and letting us know about it.
I enjoyed it.
Yeah.
Thank you for having me.
Thanks a lot. You've been listening to Jim Lansdale on Radio Wasteland from the Destination America show, Killing Bigfoot.